just about the first step. Regardless of what the year is, everybody is going to be recording an interview for quarter two about asking the oldest generation person about you. Now, a lot of people had a lot of questions about who they would interview, so let me address that right now. You're obviously not going to be learning a new language for this, so as long as you can understand the language that they are speaking, you can do anybody. I don't need to understand the audio. You can do Skype and have the Skype going while you use another audio recording device to record the sound. And most iPads, iPhones, Android devices, computers, even PowerPoint records the sound. All you need is the sound. The reason that you want to record the sound is because this will really help you answer your questions in really good detail. When we look at the rubric, we want to be able to, you'll see that it's a ton of information will make a really good, solid biography. And if you just have a little bit of information, it'll be really hard to write a really solid biography and get that exemplary grade on this assignment. Certainly, you won't probably be using 2 hours worth of material, but the more information that you have recorded, the bigger gift it is for your family. And one of the things that's really important to understand is that audio can be an incredibly valuable piece for you and your family. The reason we're doing the oldest generation is because we really want you to take somebody who may be closer to that age where they start forgetting things, where they may not remember as much. So we want to capture that now while you're at the age where you can do this for an assignment and you don't have to worry about it when life gets even busier and they may get older. And as I've told students in class, I know we have a teacher in this school who really values that audio recording of his mother that his son did when he was at Whiteout and had to do it for an assignment, and how much he really values that, because we have a lot of digital photography, but we don't often have the sound of just one person. If you don't have any of your grandparents alive or they're completely unreachable, then you could do a great aunt or a great uncle. You also can do two grandparents and do one as extra credit and one for the assignment. So just kind of addressing some of those things, but we really, really, really want you doing that oldest generation if at all possible. So in step one, you're going to be asking questions about their youth. And these are example questions. You can completely create your own questions. You can come up with even more questions than this. So, what are your first memories as a child? What was your favorite toys growing up? What did you first think you would be when you grew up? What made you feel that way? Who took care of you on a daily basis? What are your early memories of these people? What was your child home life like? What was your school experience? What was popular when you were young? Music, entertainment. There are so many different things that you could ask. You could ask, what were popular TV shows? What were popular radio shows? What were popular clothes to wear? What kind of clothes did you wear? You could ask, what were your favorite hobbies growing up? What was your favorite color? Your favorite food? There's so many different favorites that you could ask about. Were there any significant milestones in your youth, meaning a really important event? What do you remember about big national or local events? You also are going to ask some questions of your own. The questions we totally left out of our thing that would be really good is, when were you born? And where were you born? Some students forgot to ask, what is your full name? What was your full name when you were born? Especially getting at our grandmothers who might have changed their name. So those are a couple of examples. Some students talked about pets you had as a child. What were the movies that you saw? What are the movies that you remember? Celebrities was another idea. Those are all different ideas of questions that you could ask as examples. Then for step 2, you're going to plan your interview, filling out the information. That is for 2017 due in a couple of days, but for any year, you're going to have a date assigned to you, and you're going to tell when you're going to do this interview, and that's going to be the goal is to get that done before the day you're writing this up in class. Highlighting some tips, Barbara Curley put together some ideas of writing an extraordinary biography, which is really what every student in my class is able to do and has done for the last 8 years. So we have some wonderful stories that we've been able to capture. We've had a student who found out that his grandfather marched with Gandhi and fought off a tiger in the jungle of India. We had students find out how hard their grandparents' life was growing up. We've had people find out that her grandmother was 4 years old and hiding in a bunker in Korea during the Korean War. So some really amazing, remarkable things, but also anybody's remarkable story. Just growing up and appreciating it, like how many days a week to work, how many opportunities for school. Maybe there wasn't. We've had students whose grandparents had parents die so that they became the caretaker. They became the head of the household. We've had people have really happy memories. So Susie Clemens, when she wrote about Mark Twain, first she gathered information. So those are things like interviewing your grandparents and audio recording. That audio recording, again, is a gift to your family, but also a way to get a lot of information so you can bring it to school and type it up really easily and get that solid page in. Then again, and maybe asking other people. Gathering information also could be asking a parent at home to help you come up with questions or help this interview take place. You want to double check your facts and make sure that you, again, audio record it is a great way to not have to rush through taking notes and hurting your hand. It's so much easier. One thing I want to highlight is this idea that writers follow the rules, show, don't tell. That goes for history too. The best biographers in historical nonfiction are the writers who give examples, who give quotes, who make their person sound human. Maybe a specific story about a time that they remember can be really, really important and really powerful. Obviously, everybody wants to make sure that their grandma's awesome and we know we're your grandpa, but also providing, what are some mischief that they came up with for, especially for that young adulthood, but for any of them, come on, tell me a story of a time you got in trouble. That's sometimes really fun and can be opened up for some really great laughs. So in quarter 3, we'll be back interviewing our grandparent, again, our oldest generation, and you'll be understanding how that oldest relative's young adulthood and how it compares to yours. So that'll be really, if you look at the questions, that's looking at, when was your first job? So young adulthood can be anywhere up at, kind of the age that we said was about 0 to about 12, 13, maybe 14. And then you can go on. If you have somebody who is only going to be in town over Thanksgiving and you want to interview them for this thing and you want to get all your interviews done, then the rest of this video is for you. Otherwise, you can stop right now. So talking about quarter 3, how does where you live affect your life? And step 1 is choosing and writing the questions. Again, the same kind of ideas. What was your first job? What major current political events affected you? Current events. what were your political beliefs at the time. You could also ask how they've changed, although we will come back to that for the other questions. So hopefully once you've done and I thought about this process and thought about these questions, it should be easier to write this. This might be an easier time to write, and you can see some of the same questions, like what was popular. You could ask about movies and TV shows, what was on the radio at the time, what your dreams and goals, important things. I do also want to highlight the rubric, and the first part is about the ideas. Again, as you can see, for exemplary, it includes specific quotes or stories. Distinct voice enhances the story. Then the organization is still key, giving that background knowledge. So for early childhood, that's where were they born and their name and setting up the story. How are they related to you? And then, you make sense. It flows with good description and really solid work. And it uses consistent verb tense that enhances the story and follows the writer and writer's contract. And then it goes down from there. And I really wanted to highlight the 3 top because I believe that everybody can at least be at making progress. I really would hate to see that somebody didn't actually do this after so much advance notice. We'll be talking about the writing process in class and examples and how that will look. We really just want to give you a broad overview of what that project looks like and how you will be then turning it in December to writing. Some students also asked about point of view, and a lot of students in the past have chosen third point of view, which is great. You can choose to make it first person, but a lot of students find third person to be just fine.